I'm JD and welcome to TWOgether, our special on work from home. In the first episode we looked at why is this different, what is the impact on connectivity and the internet, and how you can contribute to make this go a bit smoother. In the next episode we will have a closer look at cybersecurity and what you can do to contribute. In this episode we will share a lot of practical tips on how you can get started with work from at home, how you can deal with some of the challenges, based on almost 20 years of working from home myself, but also helping companies, coaching people in getting this done over the past years. I'm looking forward to sharing a lot with you, and I'm looking forward to your feedback. Let's get started. Work from home is different than your normal work situation. I've been there, I'm still there, and I'm still doing it a lot. The first thing that I learned is this: what works for me doesn't automatically work for you, and the other way around. So it's very important that you find what works for you. Don't pay too much attention to all the generic advice. People mean well, and there's a lot of wisdom and experience in it, but that still doesn't mean that it works for you. One of the things that influences what works or not is habits that we have, the things that we are used to. Let me explain that. I have always had a little place for myself, my own office, either working in a company or working from at home. I always make sure that there is a little corner somewhere where I can just be with myself. And there are reasons behind that. Sometimes I have confidential conversations with clients about data breaches. I don't want other people to listen in on that, and my client doesn't want that either. Sometimes I'm doing research and I'm really concentrated on the things I'm reading, and I don't want to be disturbed. That works for me, and I also got used to that. So when I have to work in a noisy environment, I get distracted, I get irritated, I get annoyed. It disrupts my way of working. A very good friend of mine is the CEO of a fast-growing company. Started some 5 years ago with 20 people. By now more than 400 people, all in one big office, in one big, loud, noisy, open office. A coffee lounge in the middle where they held their meetings and conferences. I couldn't work like that. He loves it, his team loves it, they're used to it. That is their thing. It works for them. So whatever works for you is what you have to look for. One of the big challenges, and a lot of people have already asked me questions about that, in this current situation is that most people are not working from home alone. Family members, kids who normally go to school and now are staying at home for homeschooling, all together in the place where they're living. It will not always be the case that everybody can find their own little space to do whatever they need to do without being disturbed by the others. That is a big challenge and has nothing to do with your standard remote working advices. The most important step you need to do, and you need to all work on, including the kids, is communication. Now with kids you have to have a look at their age. If they are like my daughter who's almost 13, understand time frames, and you're capable of explaining, listen, the next 30 minutes I will have to do a call, and after that I can help you with your homework, things will get a bit easier. Younger kids don't have that understanding. Their thinking is much more focused on, I'm hungry now, so I want to eat now. They will disturb you whenever that happens. What you need to do is find a way to make some signals which they understand. What always worked for my kids, even when they were small, is that they understood when the door to my office, because I'm fortunate enough to have my own little office now, when the door to my office is closed, they know I'm busy and they shouldn't disturb me. When I open the door, they know they can come in and they can ask me questions. The most important part is that you do two things. Number one is find a signal which all the members in your family can recognize. That could be something red you put on the table to show, hey, I'm busy in a call, please do not disturb me, please be silent. That could be a door you close when you have a separate room. That could be that you say, my important calls, I take them in the bedroom, And I close the door to the bedroom. So when the door to the bedroom is closed during the day, please don't come in because I'm having that important call. The second thing, which is also important, is that you keep that signal serious. Don't abuse it. Don't close the door while you're not actually busy with something. So make sure that you keep those time frames as short as possible and as real as possible. And that helps the members of the family, the members of your group living in your house and whatever the constellation is, understand very quickly and respect towards each other, including the younger kids, how to collaborate, how to get along during this complicated phase. That will really help, and I hope you will get some positive experiences with that. Time management is also a challenge when you work from home. And especially in a situation like now, when you are most likely not the only person working from home. When you have other family members working from home, they also have to take care of a lot of things. They also have their priorities. And it's very interesting to see how many people are not aware of the fact that a big part of their working day when they go to the office is managed. Managed by meetings, conferences, calls, appointments, deadlines, breaks, lunches. When you work from home, a lot of that external management of your time disappears. So you are much more challenged to manage your own time. And in combination with the members of your family, manage their time as well. What works for me and for a lot of people I have coached is that you create a certain schedule for your day and that you say, from this time slot until that point, I will be working on, for example, answering emails. Set up a time slot in which you really actively look after the kids when they have to do their homework, homeschooling at the moment, and agree on that time slot. Set up time slots for your normal, regular activities. Put that schedule where you can see it and take it serious. Try to keep it. And every time when you are not able to keep it, have a little conversation with yourself or just think about what happened and why and adjust your schedule when needed. Keeping some kind of routine that resembles your normal working routine helps you to stay productive. Social media, let's be honest, we all love it, especially in times like this. It keeps you informed, it keeps you connected to the people you cannot see at the moment. It gives you some information, but it can also consume more time than you were planning. Now, the first thing that we have to realize is during our normal working hours, social media isn't in most cases part of our daily routine, unless you are working with social media like I am. But still, I set up time slots which I spend on social media just to make sure that I do not spend too much time on social media. And that is, although social media is part of my work. A joke I always make is as follows. The easiest way to waste 1 hour is just spend 5 minutes on social media. There's a risk of things getting out of hand when you go to your favorite platform, and there's a risk that you spend much more time there than you realize. It goes fast, you're having fun, you're entertained, you're distracted. I recommend that you set up a few time slots, that you just say, okay, this is my normal regular coffee break or tea break, whatever it is you consume. That's the time I can spend on social media. Your lunch break, same deal. You can add a few more breaks in between, but just make sure that you do not overspend your time on social media. Your little working space. The corner of wherever you live, where you do your work with your computer. Some people can do a lot when they're laying down on the couch. Some people can do the same thing sitting at their dinner table. It doesn't matter what works for you. You have to find what works for you. Don't pay too much attention to what works for me or to others. But there's one thing, and that's especially important when you're living in the same house with a couple of other people. If you have a certain spot where you work, just the fact that you sit there makes clear already to all the other members of your family or your community that you are working, That's very important. And the second thing that you shouldn't confuse with this situation is, normally if you do every now and then a couple of hours work a day, or in the evening check your emails, or whatever it is that you normally do, it's okay to spend 30 minutes in a maybe not that comfortable or maybe not that healthy position. It isn't that big of a problem. But currently you will spend the majority of your normal working day at that location where you will do your work. So it does make sense to pay a bit more attention, to have a closer look and find for yourself a spot where you can work for a longer period of time, and that the other people in your household recognize, oh, work is being done. That helps. It helps with your health, it helps with your ability to work concentrated for a longer period of time, and it helps the other members of the family because they will be able to notice that work is being done. Exercise. That might be a challenge when you're working from home. What most people do not realize is how much they move around while they are at an office. We tested that a couple of times, and it's actually quite easy to figure that out. We just equip people with a little watch that counts the steps they make. You move around a lot without noticing it. Going to a printer, getting yourself a coffee, going to that meeting room, going for the breaks. It might not always be enough, but it is still there. When you're working at home and the space you are working in is much smaller than what you normally have in a big office, you will automatically move less. There are some easy tricks which you can use just to get some exercise during your work. One of the things I always do is when somebody calls me, I stand up and walk around during that call. It's quite interesting. It helps me concentrate better than when I'm sitting, because then I get more distracted by the other things I see. And it keeps me moving. It keeps me at least walking around a bit. There are a lot of small things that you can do to just make sure that you get at least some exercise. You can make some schedules by saying, okay, after 30 minutes of reading a document, I walk around for 5 minutes. You can set reminders that you have to get up and walk around, if at possible, and it doesn't work for everybody, but if at all possible, try to do some work while standing. It's much better than just sitting. And the most important thing is, be aware that moving around, getting some form of exercise is healthy, especially now. So make sure that you are aware of it, and make sure that you remind yourself however you do that. Oh, and while you're at it, when you're living in a household with your family or friends, remember them as well. It will make a difference. Here is our last tip. When you are working with a notebook, a laptop, an iPad, a tablet, whatever you want to call them, and you put them on the table or a desk, something happens which is very unhealthy. You will start looking downwards to look at your screen. Now, for every now and then a couple of minutes or maybe 30 minutes, that isn't that problematic. But when you do that several hours a day, that becomes very unhealthy. You will start to get pain in your neck, you will start to get pain in your shoulder, you will start to get headaches. Try to find a way, with a stand, use some books, anything you can figure out, but try to find a way to lift the screen of your notebook or tablet or whatever device you are using, so you are looking at a more straight level at it. When you do that, please also make sure that you are not covering the cooling openings at the bottom of your device, because that might cause some additional damages. Experiment a little bit with it. Try to find what works for you. But the most important thing is, find a position which is healthy. There's a lot of information for you available on the internet. What is the right angle? What is the right distance? What is the right position for your hands, for your eyes, for your shoulders, for your everything? Figure out what works for you and be very aware. This is not something for 30 minutes. This is more something for 30 days. So figure out a position which is healthy, which you can do for a couple of days. Thank you very much for watching or listening to TWOgether, Special edition, work from home, the second episode. Focus on some practical tips and explaining why these are important to you. We are really looking forward to your feedback and your questions. Please reach out. Oh, and please subscribe. Thank you, and until the next time.